Friends, it's another third Thursday. Today is June 15th. And for those of us who pay estimated taxes, it is the second quarter taxes are due. By the way, just, heads up. I'm going to open us in prayer and then introduce you to our leader for today. So let's pray. Loving and gracious God, you call us to follow you, and in following you, we are meant to do that with all parts of our lives, not just the parts that are dedicated to worship and serving in session and church committees or singing in choirs and providing music and coming together for Bible study. You call us to follow you outside of our sanctuaries, outside of our buildings. Be with us this time as we hear how one particular church in our presbytery has interpreted that literally, has left the building in order to find out what you are doing all around us, the things that you are inviting us into, all where you are already active. So give us ears to hear and hearts to wonder how we may be a part of stepping out into this world that you created and being part of an effort to help it be more like your kingdom here on earth. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So tonight we're hearing from Ann Miller, who is from the Limestone Presbyterian Church and is one of the leaders and I think chief imaginators, and I will apply that word, that is not a word, as a title, around this beautiful idea called The Church Has Left the Building. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Ann, both so you can hear more about it and so you and your congregation might be inspired, intrigued, and maybe feel invited to join this year. So, Ann, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. And I hope this does inspire. What was your second I? Inspire, intrigue, and invite.
Yeah.
Invite you to learn more about this program and to think about how you might incorporate it in your own church. I'm curious for those who are listening to this recording, if you have maybe two worship services, which is wonderful because that way you can meet the time preferences and the type of service preference that people have. At the same time, do people from those different services really know each other and connect with each other? The church has left the building as an opportunity to increase that relationship. And feedback shows that that's one of the things people appreciate about this program. Are you interested in a multi-generational way to involve the 5-year-olds and the 95-year-olds? The church has left the building as an opportunity for you to make that happen. So let me tell you how Limestone became involved. In 2018, sorry, wasn't that long ago, 2018, I received a call from someone at our church who invited me over for lemonade. And she said she wanted to talk with me about a project. And as we talked about it, I thought, this is the most fantastic thing I think I've heard in months and months and months. She had a folder titled "The Church Has Left the Building" from a Methodist church in either Maryland or Pennsylvania, where her sister attended. And they had incorporated "The Church Has Left the Building" into their worship service. So essentially, it's one Sunday. We typically have it in October. And it's one Sunday where instead of going to church, we go out to the community, as God calls us to do. People love the activity. They can't wait to sign up for something they want to do, and they fully commit and they mention it's just one of the items that Limestone does that they love the most. So let me jump into some information for you about this, I think, exciting program. So let me get the slides up for you. So you won't see me for a bit, but I hope you can hear me. Cindy, can you hear?
I can hear you, but I don't see the slide.
Oh dear. Well, it was up a while ago, right? We saw it a while ago. Did we not? Is anything coming up now?
No, but I can share them on my computer if that'd be helpful.
It was up a while ago. That's why I can't figure out why.
I've had that happen. Actually.
Pardon me? You've had that happen?
I have. I have tested everything out and then they won't show up again. Yeah.
How about there?
No, I
it
still
there?
don't see anything.
All right.
It's
All right. If you don't mind
I
pulling
don't
your
mind at
okay,
all.
thank you.
Here we go.
All
See
right. So the church has left the building. People often hear this and think, oh, are they shutting down? Are they merging with another church? In fact, if you Google the church has left the building, you'll see a lot of information about how churches have shut down, or how people are leaving the church. And that is certainly not the case at Limestone. So how did this happen? Well, I shared with you the story of someone inviting me over and showing me a little booklet, which I then took to leaders of our church and to our pastor at the time. And we were all so excited, we couldn't contain the excitement. And so let me give you an overview. Do you need to do the next one? Let me give you an overview of what journalists try to put up in the lead, the who, what, when, where, why, how, and so forth. So who? It was Limestone members and some friends. Some people invited grandchildren, for example, to go to Delaware Humane, which is now HAP, which is, I'll figure it out in a few minutes and tell you what HAP is. Humane Animal Partners.
Okay.
It's a merger between Delaware Humane and the SPCA. So some people brought their grandchildren. It was, as I said, the church has left the building. We chose a Sunday at the end of October, and I'll tell you why. We have a young man in our church with juvenile diabetes, and the third Sunday of October included a walk down at Rockford Park for juvenile diabetes. And to honor Matt, we chose that third Sunday in October. They no longer have that walk. So this year we did not include that, but October was a great month to be outside or to start a new program. School's starting in September. People are geared up to try something new. We went all around Newcastle County. We did environmental pickup. We did the HAP, the animals at Humane Animal Partners. We did clothing at Friendship House. We did cleanup at UrbanPromise. We were in and around the town. Why we did this? Wow, so many reasons. We wanted to unite the church. It was really important at that particular time. And we wanted to serve the community. We wanted to be the hands and feet of Jesus. I know you've heard that phrase. We wanted to put it into action. How we did this? Well, it's coming up right now. Let's take a look. We had support from leadership, but we needed to get approval from session. So we presented a proposal that looked just like this. And, we planned for lunch. the folks came back at 1 o'clock for lunch. We enjoyed lunch together, and we enjoyed celebrating what we had accomplished. I wish you could have seen their faces. People were thrilled. They were so excited, and they couldn't wait to tell their stories. On the next slide, you'll see a bit more of the proposal. We didn't have data from our church, but we did have a bit of data from other churches who had completed a similar program. And on this screen, you'll see some of their comments. And later on, you'll see comments from our own church members. And then how were we going to fund it? We had not put aside money because we didn't know we were going to do this. So we had plate offerings going to this effort. We asked people to donate money for t-shirts and lunch items. We had a bit of money left over from the endowment fund we have. And then from a clothing sale, our children's clothing sale, we had a bit over $400. So that was enough to get us excited about starting this. And then I included some additional pages on Gen Z wanting to contribute and volunteer. There's a lot of data there that shows this. And then there was a page on the next steps. We had approval from session, and so, hey, we were ready to take off.
Sweet.
We did a huge planning checklist. This was multiple pages and included the topics that you see there at the top, a general task force, and I did copy this page for you. We also had the marketing task, registration task. We thought we were going to do a t-shirt competition and have people make designs and then choose one. We didn't really have time to do that, so we chose one of our own that one of our members created. We had captain tasks. The captains were the leaders for each group that went out. So Friendship House had a captain. UrbanPromise had a captain. Family Promise had a captain. And this year we decided to do 2 captains for each team because we wanted to increase leadership involved with the committees, with the efforts, and we wanted to have backup in case one of the captains could not take care of contacting people or calling people or arranging carpools or whatever the task might be. So here's an example of our giant plan. In addition, on the next screen, you will see what we did at our meetings. And in July, remember this, we're going to do this in October. So it was really important that we get organized. We had approval from session. So in July, we announced it to the congregation that we were going to have a task force meeting. We had thought about some of the activities that you see there in the second paragraph: Ronald McDonald, UrbanPromise, Delaware Humane, Juvenile Diabetes, Friendship House. And then we knew we'd set up some activities in the church for people who did not want to travel and who wanted to sit down for the activities. So we knew we were going to do some things in the church, but at this point in July, we weren't quite sure what those would be. So people were invited to come to the meeting. We had a good turnout, and we really added to this list of potential activities. So this was July. And then in September, we're talking about how people are signing up already, and it's really fun to be in our narthex and watch the captains, getting people to sign up for activities. Just a really visual of happiness. Pastor Nancy, who was with us at the time, reminds us that this event is a vivid reminder to us that missions isn't just one of the programs of the church, but being missional is the very essence of being church. You're seeing some material, as you see, from 2018, and that's because we were probably the most organized then, because we had to be. And maybe we've taken some shortcuts since then, but just to help us, just to convince ourselves that we knew what we were doing. We were probably over prepared, and but I think that was a good thing. We got people excited. And then on the next screen, this was part of the same message. And you see in those first few lines, we've added some other activities. House Rabbit Society is an organization up near Price's Corner where they take care of rabbits that are eligible for adoption. People loved going there. I'll show you some quotes. We went there 2 years. And then we had also identified that Clare Hall would be Mission Central. We made sandwiches for a Sunday breakfast mission downtown. I think we made 70 some sandwiches. We assembled goodie bags for the EMTs, and we created homemade gift cards for nursing home patients. It was a busy place in Clare Hall. And then we went back to Clare Hall for lunch. I'm always looking for a chance to write a ridiculous poem. So my next message in September was a poem. Have you completed your registration? If not, do it now without hesitation. UrbanPromise, Friendship House are on the list, and Delaware Humane is not to be missed. With Matt Klein, many will walk for a cure, be at Rockford Park by 9 to be sure. Make desserts at Ronald McDonald House. You can work with a friend or even your spouse. House Rabbit Society may be looking for you to clean bowls and cages. These are things you can do. In Clare Hall, we will have Mission Central, where all of the tasks are a bit more gentle. Oh. So you're seeing different ways that we promoted the day. And we also did it in Minutes for Mission up in front of the church. And I think this next slide was, this slide is the new things we added in 2022. We did environmental cleanup. We have an expert on this, 17 years of expertise in cleaning up the environment. And he has, the grabbers and the bags and the protective gear. Lots of people signing up for that. For the first time we made fleece blankets for foster kids. One of the things that the foster program tells us is that foster kids have very little of their own. So this is a blanket they can carry with them if they move from place to place. Mm-hmm. We worked at Sean's house in Newark. This is a mental health facility that's fairly new, and it takes care of young people between 14 and 24. Although it's not part of the University of Delaware, their graduate students in psychology and psychiatry are there as peer counselors. So that was new, and I think people put furniture together there for their outside patio. Making cat toys and dog biscuits. This was for faithful friends. Another new one that we did at the church was to make sleeping mats for the homeless. We had a woman from social services come and show us how to do that with plastic bags. And that was fun, and a lot of people were involved. And then we were at Loomis in Newark, and we knew we were going to be raking, or if the weather did not hold out, we'd be window cleaning inside that facility. And Nona Holy wrote us a wonderful thank you note. We had a lot of people going there. Awesome. Now, let me ask you, can we go back just a second? Let me ask you, of these, do you have a sense of which one may have been the most popular? Ooh. I think you'll be surprised.
No, I don't know. Which one was the most popular?
It was making cat toys. We had over 200 braided
Oh my goodness.
uh, cat toys that people braided from fleece material.
Oh.
We had too many to take to faithful friends, so I brought about 50 down here to Sussex County with me and gave them to the Georgetown SPCA, and they were delighted. They weren't expecting 50 cat toys.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh.
And then in one of our minutes for mission, we did a visual that you'll see next, the tree with the announcement of the event and sign up. And the reason I threw this in was to show that we're signing up people on September 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what, 5 weeks, about 5 weeks where people can sign up. And they can do that in the narthex with us in person with one of the captains, or they can do it online. Mm-hmm. And I believe in the next set of slides, you'll see how to do it. Oh, was this still on there?
This is the next set.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you do that so quickly? That was.
I had it already open.
I think you know what you're doing. So how did we advertise? Well, we had a huge booklet, 18 pages actually, printed in color, which I think we did maybe 50 or 60 of these.
Okay.
With a page about each activity.
Great.
And so I've collapsed one of them. This was, again, going to the campus ministry, Presbyterian house down in Newark. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that Roger Jolly is the captain. He's later joined by a teenager who was the other captain. And minimum of 6 volunteers, but they can handle up to 20, preteen through adults. This was for the afternoon. The teenagers were asking for something for the afternoon so they could sleep in the morning. So to accommodate their preferences, we set up a few of these for the afternoon. And some people did too. Some people went to an activity in the morning and had so much fun they wanted to go back for another one in the afternoon, which was great. There's a description of the activity so that he describes that it's going to consist of raking leaves, trimming pollinator garden, cleaning vegetation, and then what to wear, sturdy closed-toed footwear, long pants, work gloves. So, he's really preparing his team for what they need. Right. And he's going to stay in touch with them and take care of carpooling and so forth. The disadvantage of doing an afternoon activity is that you don't get the enthusiasm from people who walk back in to the church at noon who've been out in the morning. Mm-hmm. You don't get to see that enthusiasm, and the afternoon people don't get to tell their stories. People who go out in the morning and come back for lunch, they're so eager, they're fighting over who gets to speak, who gets to tell what happened at their organization. This removes that opportunity. By the way, Roger had lots of people show up. Even a college sorority down there at the university sent 7 or 8 women who were, just as you can imagine, a bunch of sorority women. They're so excited to do this and so excited to learn that this was on their campus.
Cool.
So we touch lives in lots of different ways where we didn't expect it.
Yeah.
So descriptions went out of each one of the activities, and then we were able to sign people up. This is the electronic overview where each group is, each group is highlighted, and then you'd click on, let's say, sleeping mats, and you'd see, you'd sign up for what you wanted to. I doubt you can do it on this. Yeah. I just did a screenshot. And then we also took signups in the narthex. The advantage to doing it in person is that people can ask, will there be carpooling? What if I get there at 9:30 instead of 9? They can ask questions of the captains, and the captains really enjoy having people flock around them to sign up. You don't get that kind of input if people are registering online. But what I would suggest is if you do it in person, transfer it over to an electronic format so you have everything preserved.
Sure.
I will tell you that the first Sunday we had people signing up. We had 70 people sign up in person.
Wow.
This year, last year, 2022, 70 people signed up in person that first Sunday, and 7 signed up online. Okay. So there's definitely a preference for talking about it with someone in person.
Great.
Okay. Then the captains sent out an invitation to their team members. This was the one that was used for Clare Hall. And we had people making homemade cards, as you see in the first bullet. We made sandwiches for Sunday breakfast mission. And we wanted to let people know many of these activities required very little standing. And we assembled the gift bags for the first responders. We took those to 4 fire stations. They included granola bar, one of those little packs of Kleenex. I forget what else, but just a little goodie bag for the first responders. And then we asked people to let us know if they needed a ride, if they need assistance getting from their car into Clare Hall. Do you need a different shirt size? You know, one thing about ordering shirts is everybody changes sizes. So we had a few that we could exchange, but not that many. And then we gave them a schedule for what was going to happen. So people are arriving at 10:30, and notice they're staying until around 2. So it's not as though you're saving time by doing this. It's involving more of your time, but it's such a wonderful way to connect with people and to work with people who, as I said earlier, attend a different service. You don't get a chance to talk with, you don't get to work right next door to that person. Magic really happens.
Awesome.
All right, so they get their schedule, and after they've done their event, they come back for lunch in Clare Hall. Here's a look at what happened this year, and there are lots of tables on the other side you don't see. Most people come back, not everyone comes back. The people on the diabetes walk could not come back because that went until 2 o'clock. We had a group that went to play at Cokesbury. The handbell choir went to Cokesbury, and their time period did not allow them to come back for lunch, but most people do. And again, we tell stories, we celebrate success, we have a good time. So here's some feedback through the years. We've done 2018, 2019. We took out off for COVID. We did 2022. So have a look at some of these statements that people said. And as you see in statement 3 and 4, you know, the camaraderie that was built within our church members was a wonderful byproduct. Yes, we're helping an organization, but we had this unexpected connection with people we didn't have before. Friendship House. These are the folks that get clothing, they sort it. Forget how many pounds of clothing they collect every year. It is amazing. Humane Animal Partners. And they write their feedback. I think I have another slide with feedback, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, here's the House Rabbit Society. We went there 2 years, and it's just a small organization, limited space. But I loved what people said. And so I felt compelled to share it with you. You know, some people were even thinking about adopting a rabbit. And again, we see the comment about fellowship with church members.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that really sets this apart is that it's possible to put together activities that accommodate a wide age range. It's not just for, you know, teens who are 16 or older, or even preteen. It really does go down to the little ones as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's fantastic.
I had a photo I did not include, but it's a 5-year-old really working right next door, right at the same table with someone in her 80s or 90s, and they were making the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for
Yeah,
Sunday breakfast mission. So,
that's awesome.
and the little kids like the toys, and I like making the cards. In addition to the cards, we made ornaments for Cokesbury Christmas trees.
Cool.
And Cokesbury had 3 Christmas trees, so they were delighted to get more ornaments from us.
Wonderful.
And then I wrote up what we did after it was over. And I think, Cindy, this was in your Limestone News. I have a feeling it was. So I made being the church a little larger on that second line, because that was a theme we had that year, not just going to church, but actually being the church. Activities included cleaning school classrooms, caring for animals, sorting clothing, walking in a 5K for type 1 diabetes, baking, making sandwiches, and completing other community service tasks. And I made this a little larger. Many people were able to return to church that day. I'm in the second paragraph, for worship and lunch, each group energized with stories to share.
Yeah.
And there may be another slide coming up. Is that it?
There we go.
Oh, and another photo. They were setting up, the entire group's not there yet, but they were setting up for making the sleeping mats out of plastic bags. And it was really unusual. It was a way the woman taught them how to weave that plastic together. So recycling, we're helping the homeless. They can wash these. It gives them, a pad between the earth and their bodies. And there's a real need for these. Someone from social services came and helped us with this, and someone from social services came and helped us with the blankets. Great. I think maybe I put a slide in showing the blankets, but I had to take things out because
that's the last slide I have.
Okay. So there you have it. The captains went through an evening of training and received a folder with the slides from the training, the description of all the activities, the copy of the sign-up sheet, a thank you card to mail to their organization's lead. We receive thank you cards, but I think it's important when you visit someone's home to send a thank you. And there were a few activities, matching games to match the captain's name with the organization, just so our group had a sense of who's going where.
Sure. Awesome.
So I hope you will consider doing this. And I had to cut those last 2 slides, but let me talk through it, and let me put my glasses on. What can Limestone do for you to help your church do something similar? Well, we can offer one-on-one partnering. If you'd like to come with us in October to one of our activities, we'll pair you up with the captain and you can live the event and see exactly what happens. We can offer to work with a task force at your church. I'm in Sussex County, so I'm happy to visit a church here in Sussex County or join by Zoom. And there are other folks in Newcastle County from our church who are well equipped to work with you the way I've been explaining the program tonight. We want to keep you updated on organizations that need your help, and we can promise to do that for you. We're more than willing to share our materials. So if you want a copy of the letter, if you want that complete checklist, any of those materials, you're welcome to use as a template and tailor those for your own needs. We can work with you to perhaps, and Cindy would, be the person to determine this, if we want to do a Presbytery-wide event in 2024. That would be exciting, and you can look forward to more information. How are you going to find out organizations that need help? Well, I'm sorry this slide did not come up, and I'm struggling to read it because it's in. If you go to volunteer.delaware.gov, volunteer.delaware.gov, you will see a host of volunteer opportunities in Delaware. If under that large umbrella, you go to Volunteer Delaware 50 plus, you will see another list. That's where we got our idea for the blankets, and that's where we got our idea for the mats.
And let me just share my screen real fast so people can see that, because I pulled it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can see volunteer.delaware.gov.
Perfect.
Here's the volunteer
right.
Delaware 50 plus.
Yeah. And the 50 plus is misleading because right now there are things on there for teenagers. I think they just kind of lump them all, or maybe they're repeated from another group.
And there is one for Maryland as well. So the volunteermaryland.gov. This looks like it's maybe focused on AmeriCorps, but it's a place to start for our churches on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. And then would you like my email address?
Yes.
Okay, and that is ANNC as in Charlie, G as in George, Miller @gmail.com.
All right. So ANNCG Miller @gmail.com. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so friends, the hope here is that we could have an opportunity to learn and come alongside one of the churches in our presbytery that's done some really interesting ways of engaging in local mission. And as you heard from Anne, you are invited to make use of their expertise. You don't have to just do it on your own. You are invited to reach out, to ask for help, to use the resources that have already been developed, or even to try it on for size. Come up and partner with Limestone this year and see what it's like in order to share it back next year. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Do you have a date for 2023?
Typically we've done that third Sunday, but you talked about Reformation Sunday as being ideal as well. So, that would likely work for us. One thing I didn't talk about is that when people give their feedback, they write it on a paper leaf. You cut out a bunch of paper leaves, and I made this tree out of branches, and they hang their leaves on the tree and it becomes the giving tree.
Oh,
So it preserves their feedback, and the little children are the ones who collect them and hang them up on the tree. That's one of the things they like doing during that time for lunch. People are writing out their leaves and giving it to the kids. The kiddos hang it up on the tree, and we
very cool.
celebrate with what we say, and we celebrate it in writing.
Yeah.
Sometimes writing about it helps to clarify what we're thinking. So
Yeah. That's
we have documentation, not necessarily in a formal survey, but how people feel at the moment after doing that.
great. What's been one of your favorite memories?
I would echo, because I usually hang around the church. I don't go out to one of the organizations. I hang around to help there with the church. If people are lost or not sure what they want to do, we can't find the room where they're making the sleeping mats. And again, it was something Pastor Nancy said, watching people come back in, and the looks on their faces, they're so happy, and the rest of us kind of cheering them and welcoming them back, knowing they've done some good, and being able to be cheerleaders for what happened that day.
Sweet.
It's really magical.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing would be watching the people coming back and hearing their stories.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And thank you for putting together the presentation, but also having the vision that this is something that could be shared further. That it doesn't need to belong to one church, but instead could be a model that energizes and rejuvenates other churches and other church communities. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. Well, friends, you hopefully have been inspired, and maybe you're a little intrigued, and you are definitely invited. You're invited to see what it might be like for the church to leave the building and to engage intentionally in community mission as part of our worship, because that is one of the ways we worship God, by caring for our neighbors and this world God created. Yeah, so thank you, Anne.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching, we will not have a third Thursday training in July. I will be on vacation, and you should probably be enjoying the summer too. And then looking towards the fall, beginning in August, there are some new requirements in the Book of Order that have passed. So the new Book of Order is available the beginning of July. So starting in August, we'll start taking a look at those so our churches can be prepared. That will be, let me look at my calendar, August 7th, 17th at 5 p.m. We'll start looking at our new required policies. That'll be so fun. You'll be like, let's talk more about the church has left the building.
Because that really is fun.
Yeah, it does. It sounds really, really fun. Well, thank you again. Thank you.
You're
for
so welcome.
time.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, I will stop recording.